Bonjour, Monker. It's your Archon of Wisdom. Happy Sunday. We're here, we're queer, and we are about to discuss some interesting things today, guys. We're going to be talking about our least favorite medium, that is TikTok. We're going to be talking about the latest tea that has been spilled, the latest drama, the latest influence, unfortunately, guys. Now, let's talk about our players in this situation. We got a little cut off there. Whoops. We are going to talk about 1, Rich Lux. We are going to talk about 2, Jeffery Star, Jeffrey Lynn Star. And we are going to talk about 3, Ethan Rhett. Those are the 3 people we are going to talk about today that are involved in this Sunday story. Alright, guys, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Oh my god. Alright, Jeffrey Lynn loves her TikTok. Okay, Jeffrey Lynn loves, if there's one thing about Jeffrey Lynn, it's that Jeffrey loves a TikTok battle. Okay, loves some TikTok drama. It's giving Jason Nash. If you know, you know, guys. Okay. But you know, it just makes me think that the whole Wyoming move and the meats makeup-ification and the red pillification of Jeffree Star is not going according to plan. But that is just my opinion, guys. Alright, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not buying Jeffree's makeup, so. Now, I think today's Sunday, so maybe 2 or 3 days ago, I want to say, Jeffrey and Ethan Rhett. Now, if you don't remember, hold on one second. If you don't remember who Ethan Rhett is, Ethan Rhett, we've talked about him before on this channel. Ethan Rhett's been on the Kayla Malik and Jason Sartorius podcast. He has spoken out several times about James Charles, Jimothy Chuck being a PDF, you know, to him when he was 14 years old on the internet, finding him through social media, through TikTok, which seems to be basically James Charles's version of Tinder. Okay, so now that we remember who Ethan Rhett is, we remember who Jeffree Star is. How could we forget this horrible monster? Anyway, so now, bringing it back, Jeffrey and Ethan get on TikTok Live. They are doing I think they were doing a TikTok battle, but, they maybe were talking in between, or maybe they weren't doing a TikTok battle and they were just talking. Y'all, I'm not on TikTok like this. I watch the hee-hee-ha-ha's videos, and I do post some, like, alternative content. It's not, like, at all what I post here. That's why it's not really linked. It's kind of just my personal TikTok, but anyway, I'm not on TikTok battles and stuff like this enough to know. I don't follow these people. I'm very much of the Peter Mon school of thought, where, like, I don't need to follow people in order to keep track of them for my job or my career. It's not necessary. I'm not somebody who's super overly focused on breaking news stories. And honestly, with commentary, it doesn't always matter if you're breaking the story or not. Breaking a story is not an automatic step up to a viral video for commentary channels. That's just not how it works. So I don't follow Jeffrey. I follow Ethan, but again, I'm not on TikTok like this. So I did catch the like fan recorded version of it, you know, the recorded on your phone type stuff that happens with everyone's lives. But they were doing this live. Jeffrey mentions, he does some very bizarre, very odd, questionable homoerotic behavior, in public to Ethan over the live. And then, like, when Ethan leaves, he goes, oh, now that Ethan's put out the videos of us, I can say that he's been to my house. And then he proceeds to wax poetic about the genitalia of Ethan Rhett and the race of Ethan Rhett in relation to said genitalia. It's very weird, guys. You know, the first time I heard about this story was Paige Christie's coverage of it. Now it's gotten traction, and now a lot of other channels are picking it up, covering it. Obviously, I'm covering it. I think Peter Mons covered it. A couple other channels, Vangelina's covered it. We love Vangelina. We love Paige Christie. We love our commentary homies out there. But Paige Christie, I really like the format that she's doing. She's trying with her videos. I know that she's still figuring out, the formatting stuff and the dynamics of it, but I really like the new format because her audience is such a conglomerate of other audiences as well, that they bring a lot of context to what she's talking about. And I really appreciate that she is proactive with incorporating her audience's opinion in her videos. But Paige Christie is the one that I thought had a lot of insightful stuff to say about it. At the end of the day, Ethan is a victim. Now, that does not define him. We're not going to label him. He's not an eternal victim. He's not a perfect victim. These things do not exist. But Ethan Brett is a childhood victim of SA, okay? And the rate of which revictimization happens with childhood victims is nearly 50%. It's somewhere between 46 and 47%. And that's across all genders, races. That's just a general estimate, okay? But generally, what happens with victims of childhood SA is that something called your risk factor goes up. Psychologists will use a risk factor. Social workers will use a risk factor. Law enforcement will use risk factors in order to measure the person's need for help and assistance. So usually when we are evaluating a child patient, we evaluate their risk factors based on what's happened to them in life. That is things like, do they have pre-existing conditions? Their family life, their community life. Community life often includes not just interpersonal family, but churches, resource centers, community centers, playgrounds, things like that. We take all of this into account because childhood victims are so delicate. They have, on average, a 13% additive risk factor for their future interactions, for revictimization in general, and that goes into their adulthood. Risk factors do not just magically disappear. It's all trauma that compounds, And I think that Paige Christie made such a good point by emphasizing the idea that you are acting as this person's safe person, whether you signed up for that or not. You are putting yourself forward as a safe person for them, especially regarding this situation. And then you are taking advantage of that by the way you're proceeding through the relationship. Like, re-victimizing the child victim, you really thought that was the move? You thought that was the vibe that we were going to go for? You thought that that was going to help him somehow? what we're not going to do is we're not going to talk about his private adult sexual activities or his OnlyFans. That is his adult activities and should have no bearings on this at all whatsoever. His want to do that should not be an influential reason as to why Jeffrey is involved with him. And that is the core, that is the core idea here. These victims are going to be victims for the rest of their lives. They're going to have to carry the trauma for the rest of their lives. That trauma is going to shape how they interact with society from now on as an adult person. Okay, as victims of childhood victimization, we have so many things that we have to deal with. I know that if you have unfortunately ever been around somebody who has experienced this, or you yourself has experienced this, you know that victims have a continuous line of things that we have to deal with going forward. It's not just a I got therapy and it's over kind of situation. That's not how trauma works. And I really, really am tired of Jeffrey Lynn doing this. I see Jeffrey do this with so many victims. He did this with Eugenia Cooney. He does this with so many other. Now he's doing this with Ethan Redd. You know, and we see what happened with Eugenia. We see how quickly and easily he discarded her, okay? And that's just reality. That's what happened. He can sit around and say, you don't know, because you're not in our personal business. Well, Jeffrey, that's what you put out there. That's what you want the rest of the world to see. So we're going to judge you for it. All right? That is all we are going to talk about today on this Sunday, guys. Comment, like, subscribe. Leave a comment below. Let me know how you guys feel about this. I love you all very, very much. Have a wonderful day. Kale. Drink water. Go read a book. Go touch some grass. Give your family members some love. Give your pets some love. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.